All right. Oh.
Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to the installations workshop. I'm James.
And I'm Nicole. All right, let's get started. Okay, so a brief overview for today. We're gonna go into learning our lights in QLC+, which is a software that we use for lighting. There's two ways we're gonna do that today, which is DMX and SACN, which sound very complicated, but we'll get into that later. And you'll also learn how to read our rep plot, which is a way to figure out how to read lights in our spaces.
And also, you're going to learn how to use our mobile audio rack and how to connect them to our speakers and the wireless mics that they come with.
Yeah. And today is a heavily technical workshop, so don't worry about taking all your notes down, because we're going to share the slides afterwards. I mean, you can, but yeah.
Are you recording this on Zoom too?
Yes, we are. All right, first we're going to get into lighting. Regarding the media commons, we want to just go over some basics regarding the lights that we offer here. So we have these common lights that we use here, which is the 6-par, D22, Chauvet Ovation, and the Source 4, which are technically complicated words for the models that we use, but basically you can narrow it down into two different categorizations, which I call wash lights and spotlights. So wash lights, which are these first three, they're typically they turn the entire room that color. So if you want an entire room to be red, you'll typically use these wash lights. However, if you're looking for something that is a specific spot and has a hard circle-like edge, you'll be looking for something called the spotlight. And these spotlights will be able to shine a specific spot, and you may even crop the light into a specific shape if you want, using these spotlights. So just a little overview so you know which lights you want to use. All right. Moving on, there's some required tools that you'll need when setting up light here at the Media Commons. So first off, like I said before, there's two ways to connect to our lights here. The first one is DMX, which if you see at the top, it's pretty easy and easy to connect and beginner friendly. So this is what we're gonna demonstrate first for today. But it can be a little limiting regarding which software you're going to use when you're outputting that data. So if you're looking to use Touch Designer or Max MSP, the NTEC DMX may not be able to do that. However, the SACN, it'll only require you to take an extra step, which is a little bit harder with IP addresses, but it's more compatible for different softwares. So if you're looking to use multiple different systems, that'd be a great option for you. But if you just want a simple setup, you'll use DMX. Any questions on that? All right. We're going to move on. So for this portion of the workshop, we're going to start with the DMX. Like we said earlier, it's really easy to set up, so we're just going to walk you through those steps. So some of you are probably wondering what is DMX, this crazy term. It's basically, it stands for digital multiplex. You don't exactly have to know what it stands for, but just know that it is a protocol that we use to control light devices. So today we have this little blue box. Here we call it the NTEC DMX USB kit, and it controls our stage lighting and effects. So we're going to set this up now. So inside the kit, it comes with 3 components, and like I said before, it's that NTEC OpenDMX USB blue box. You'll also have 2 wires. There's 3 in here, sorry. 2 wires. You'll have this 5-pin DMX, and you'll also have this USB-B to USB-A. And if you don't know what that means, here's a little show. This is USB-B and USB-A. And the reason why we call this a 5-pin DMX cable is because if you look inside, there's 5 little pins inside. when you're connecting to the NTEC box, all you'll have to do is a simple setup, which is plugging in that USB-B that we talked about. Ooh, sorry about that. Okay. You'll plug in that side of the USB-B, which is this one, into that blue box. So once you plug that in, that's all set. And on the other side is that 5-pin DMX. So we're going to take that same 5-pin that we just saw right here and plug it into here. All right. Now that we have that set up, this is basically a form of communication from the computer, which is the USB-A, to our patch bays, which control our lights. So basically what this kit does is that it'll communicate lights from the computer where you're sending all your data from into our lights. All right, so take this. All right, we're going to talk about the patch bay now, which is a little confusing. It's going to be hard to see, so we're going to use the phone camera today. So if you'll look at this TV, you'll be able to see everything, but typically we work back here. All of these little red patch bays, they deal with lighting, so you'll want to work in this area. Before we plug anything, I think it's just like a good rule of thumb that you guys understand what's happening back here. So this is the patch bay. It's very scary, but we'll walk through it together. So this first part, this Furman power conditioner, you'll see this power on. It's basically what's powering our entire system down here. So this will always be on, but just know, like, if anything does go wrong, like, just make sure that the power is on. Next is the network control. And what this network control does is that it'll communicate from computers or from our systems into DMX data, which is easy for us to read. And then down here is the node. The node will also take that data and convert it into readable data for our lights. So when we're plugging in the blue box, first off, you want to start with this little section. So if you look here, all that we're going to do today for the DMX is following this little DMX link sticker. So as long as you see the sticker, just stay in this area and then you'll pretty much be good. So you'll always want to plug into this first little in. If you see this little tiny font, it says in. But we'll take that blue box and the 5-pin and plug it in. And now that we're connected there, you'll want to take that other end of the USB-A of the blue box into our computer. So that way everything is communicating to each other. All right. And I have slides on this, so if you need reference for later, they're still on here. Okay. All right, we're also going to go into SACN, which is basically a second way of connecting our lights. So DMX is pretty simple. All you're doing is plugging in into the patch bay and the computer. However, when you're working with SACN, we're going to work with IP addresses, which may seem very scary, but we have photos and we're going to guide you through everything today. The reason why this is like more preferable or more like professionally common is because this works with a lot of software. So you'll want to use this if you're working with like multiple systems. Like today, the DMX USB is only able to control this one ballroom. However, the SACN, because it's using internet protocols, you'll be able to control multiple patch bays and work with different softwares. So that's why we're using SACN. So today you'll see this entire ballroom light up. Sorry. Okay. Again, this big fancy term, SACN, stands for Streaming Architecture for Control Networks. It's, again, another protocol for basically data that is communicated for our lighting systems. So what this does is that it'll communicate DMX data, which is what we use for DMX USB, and transfer it through the Ethernet cable, which is like, Ethernets are for like internet network protocols. And again, SACN can send to any type of software like QLC Plus, Touch Designer, Unreal Engine, MaxMSP, QLab, and more. So if you're definitely looking to like immersive workshops with those softwares, this will be a good choice for you. And all you'll need to set up for SACN is one wire and one adapter. We don't have a kit for this, unlike the DMX USB, so we'll just use cables. So for today, this is called an Ethernet cable, which if you're not familiar with, it looks like this. Basically, it's a way to communicate networks. And you'll also, for our media common spaces, these computers don't have as many ports as we would like. So we use an adapter just so we can get more space. So we'll use this Ethernet to USB-A adapter. I'm gonna plug that in now while I'm here. All right, we're gonna go back to the patch bay. Yeah. Okay. So for Ethernet and SACN, if you're using this method, it is a little different from just from just plugging things in. So right now we have it set to that NTEC DMX blue box, but we'll need this space for the node, which we'll talk about shortly. And so we're going to unplug this for now because we're using SACN and not DMX. And the first thing you want to do before you start plugging things in is make sure this little label that has the sticker that says DMX control is plugged into that same DMX in or DMX link that we had earlier. And I'll talk about this shortly. All right. And then regarding the Ethernet, if you see this little SACN control, this will be the sticker that you'll plug into, so you can plug into here. Oh, other way. If by any chance that this Ethernet port is taken, any other one of these also work. It's basically this entire strip. So the reason why we made sure that this DMX control is plugged in here is that basically even though we haven't plugged it in yet, the data that we send from the computer, it's not exactly DMX data, which is readable for lights. So it'll take that SACN data, and then this DMX control makes it readable for our patch bay to split off into the lights. That way the lights can all read the same data. So it's basically converting. All right, now that we have that Ethernet port connected and the DMX control connected, we're going to go back to the computer. And here, even though it's a little hard to see, we have one more port left. We're going to plug in that USB-A in. And do note that we are using an adapter because it will be important later. All right, we're good to go. So that was a lot of plugging things in. We're gonna get into more of the software soon. Yeah, okay. So the software that we'll be using today is called QLC Plus. It's a free-to-use lighting software installed on all of our computers, including like the black box. And it's basically a program that allows you to connect and control our ballroom lights here. So it's a pretty like beginner-friendly like software, so no worries about that. But do know that QLC Plus is not our only software. We're just demonstrating it today because it is very user-friendly. But we do have another software called EOS, which we're technically like we're trying to start a workshop on that too. So that's a future thing, but it's another lighting software that's also user-friendly that we're trying to set up. So if you also wanted to play around with the EOS lighting software, you can always ask a PA how to set that up. All right. So for SACN, it's, can you plug this in? Oh, other side. Thank you. Sorry. Okay. So for SACN, it's a little bit more complicated than just plugging things in. To set up communication, you'll have to work with IP addresses. So give me a second. I'm sorry. All right. So this is displaying our computers here. To set up IP addresses, we're going to start with the control panel. If you're not familiar with IP addresses, just follow these like simple steps. First, you're just going to go to network, and you'll open this page up. Here, it looks really complicated. I know like it's a lot of scary things because internet, Wi-Fi, whatever. But do note that when you're working with our lighting software, like I said before, we connected our Ethernet cable through that adapter. So that adapter is called A6 USB to gigabit Ethernet family. So even though you'll see like all these internet, modem, Wi-Fi, just look for this little A6 USB to gigabit. That's the one that you're using. If you also are unsure and you do mess with these, try not to, even though it says Ethernet, there might be multiple Ethernets, try not to mess with any of our other networks because they will ruin our systems for like motion capture and audio. So just be sure that this little description's here. Once you see it, you're going to double click this little properties tab. And although it looks complicated, we're going to use IPv4. So our ballrooms here, they use a IP address that is 4 digits. So that's why we're using this IPv4. We're going to double click into it. And by default, this is what you see. It says obtain an IP address automatically. The reason why you don't want to do this is because other IP addresses might be used up for other computers or for other like systems. So you want to set your own IP address so that way you know what you're working with. And to do that, we're going to use the following IP address. If you don't know which IP address to look out for, like you see on the slides over there, you'll change the IP address to what's labeled on the patch bay. So where we plugged in that SACN control, it says 192.168.0, and then that 1 to 99. That fourth number is basically the only number that will change. The other three, they stay the same. So 1 to 99, you guys can pick whatever number. I personally like to pick the first room as 1, second room as 2nd, 3rd and 3rd. So we're going to set that now. So like I said, 192.168.0, and I typically like 1. This subnet mask, it basically runs from 0 to 255, but this 255 means that it's not looking to change these numbers, rather it's looking to change that last number. So that's why this is 0 and the rest is 255, because these numbers stay stagnant. All right. Huh?
That didn't make any sense.
Oh, did that not? Okay. So sorry. Okay. So throughout, sorry, my bad. I'll take it slower.
I'm from Yonkers. I have no thoughts.
You're good. So basically, all of our IP addresses that we use here, it's always that those first 3 numbers are always going to start with 192.168.0. All right. last number, that fourth number, it says 1 to 99. You can pick whatever you want, and that's the number that we're looking for when we are communicating with the computer, because everything's set on 192.168.0. So that last number is the only thing that we're changing. That's why when you see the subnet mask,
What's a subnet mask?
Yeah, the subnet mask is basically a way to filter out all the IP addresses to only search for the IP address that you're using. So that's why when you see 255, think of it as a way to freeze that number in place. So we're not looking for 192. We already know it's 192. We're not looking for 168 because we know it's 168. So that's why that fourth number on the subnet mask is 0, because we are looking for a number on it.
Okay, so
That
0
makes
means search?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, in basic terms, yes. So that's why I set that fourth number to 1. That's just something I like to do. So it's searching for the first 3. It's not searching for any of those, but it's searching for that last number. All right. All right. So we're just going to click OK because we have everything set up. If by any chance that you see this error message, it might mean that another system is using that IP address, which is perfectly fine. You can change it to any number from 1 to 99. So does anyone want to shout out a number they want? 2. Okay. All right. I'm going to set OK. And looks like it's great to go. All right. We're going to click OK on everything. And we're finally going to open up the software. So frozen onto all of our computers, we have QLC, which if you look here, it's very small. But we have a template file that is customized to our spaces, so you'll want to open that template file up, because on there it has all our lights and all of our systems. So it'll take a minute, but basically this is what you want to use. So if you booked out a room in 220, the black box, you'll open up the 220 master file. And here it's 221 to 224 is all of the same master files, but they're on each computer. All right, so this is what you see initially. However, before we start, we're going to inputs and outputs on this little bottom tab. The reason why we do this is because we want to establish a connection from the software to the lights. So again, looks very scary. All you'll focus on for today is that IP address. So in QLC Plus, they don't call it Ethernet, they call it E131. It's like a thing of the past, but just know that it is E131. So does anyone remember what IP address we set? 2. All right. Do you remember that first part by any chance? That's fine.
192 something.
Great. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. Teamwork. Great. Perfect. So if you look at this little list here, we're going to look at E131. This is not it. And we're going to find that 192.168.0.2. So that's perfect. And we're going to click Output. That way we know that we're sending data from this software into our lights. All right. Now that we have everything set up, we're going to, sorry. So this is the system for SACN. If by any chance you're using DMX USB, you'll see that DMX USB up here. So DMX USB is pretty easy to set up because you'll see it right here and you'll just click that output. However, for today's demonstration, we'll be using that IP address. All right. So we have on our QLC Plus templates or our master files, we have these things called functions, and they're down here in the tabs. These are just basic presets that we've already established in our media common spaces. So if you just want a really quick setup, you can just go through them and see all the presets. So epilepsy warning, because some things may strobe. So if you're not comfortable with that, you can step out for a moment, but view at your own discretion. And also, some lights may actually like flash right at you, so if they do, let me know and I'll change it. All right. Does anyone want to call out one of these presets?
Can't see it.
Oh. How do I zoom in on it? Hang on, let me see. Oh, how do I do this? Oh,
yeah.
okay. Oh, this is trippy. Okay. All right. Now can anyone see it? Okay. Does anyone want to call it something out? Lime mojito. All right. Is it in your face? All right. I'll change it. But you have all these presets. Oh, it's still in your face. But you'll have all these presets that are here in the software. So if you just want a really quick setup, this is what you'll be working with for their functions. Where is it?
Go through all of them.
Oh, all of them. Okay. Okay. Ooh. This one's Color Bomb. All right. Computer Green. It's a little laggy. Dance Floor Moody. Dance Floor Pop. Pop Star Remix. Lime Mojito we just saw. Toothpaste. NYU Royale, if you're into our school. Paso Doble. I don't know if I said that correctly. Things Are Flashing. Soft Tangerine. Surge Red. Too Hot Pink. And Underwater. All right. So that's our like presets. So let's say we want to make a certain light a certain color. How do we do that? That's a little more, it requires a little more steps, but we're going to go through it together. So first, you want to go to Simple Desk, this little tab underneath. Here, I'll zoom in. So here's all those tabs that I was talking about: Functions, Simple Desk, and Inputs, Outputs. You want to go to Simple Desk, and here's where we talk about rep plots. So it's up to you if you want to scan our QR code, but on our website, we have these things called rep plots. They're basically something, it's like a graph or a visual that shows you how to read our lights here at the ballrooms and how to communicate with our computers. Do note that that QR code only works if you're signed into your NYU email. Otherwise, you'll have like a little bit of issues, but I would just open up like a private tab or something. So these are some resources on our website if you are interested in getting a specific light and turning it a specific color. You're good? Yeah. All right, here's what our rep plot looks like. It's very small right now, but we have pictures on later that show you it zoomed up. Just know that this is how you would pick a specific light and make it a certain color. Note that these like yellow unibar dimmers, they typically don't do anything for what you're looking for in installation workshops. They deal with brightness, so we typically don't use them, but if you know how to, it is something that we offer. Next. Yeah, okay. All right, so rep plots. The first thing you'll want to do is locate your light on the rep plot. So right now that looks like a green box, which if you go back to the legend, it's a 6-par. So 6-pars are these big little lights here. Again, they're wash lights, so they turn an entire room an entire color. So you'll want to locate your light on the rep plot. So for today's demonstration, it's that one right there. And the number on the top is what we call a DMX address. This address is basically that data that we're sending to the computer to control our lights. So what it's saying is that I want to control 113. And it goes into 113 and changes all the lights. So this is this number that you'll search for on the Simple Desk, which we're going to show. So we're going to keep scrolling on this little arrow tab until we see 113 at this bottom number.
Is this the simple desk?
Yes. Sorry. It's a little rhetorical, but yes, this is simple desk down here. Give me a second. So down here, you'll see simple desk, and you'll click on it, and you'll be taken to this page. Again, we're searching for 113. So if you see, it's pretty small actually. You can see probably now, but there's that 113 down there. That's the light that we want to control for today. Let's say, okay, so regarding lights in our ballrooms, every light has a unique number of channels, or as like basic knowledge, channels are basically inputs. They take a certain number of inputs, which control a different function of each light. So you can think of like red as one input, green as another input, and blue as another input, like RGB values. Some of these lights also take like white, amber, UV, but typically all of these lights have a channel that is dedicated for brightness and another, or intensity, and another channel dedicated to strobe, which is that flashing thing that you saw earlier. So if you look at this little 6-par here, you'll see that this grayed out section is the amount of channels it takes. Sadly enough, this light actually goes off to the next page, so you'll see that remaining two gray, you'll see that remaining two gray channels here. But just do note that anything that you see, like this green and then this gray here, those are all the channels that a light can take, which vary for each different light. So for today's demonstration, we'll be working with that 113. So first thing we want to do is we want to turn on the light. Turning on just color won't do anything because there is no brightness on, there is no light on. So the first thing we want to do is turn that light on. So, if you see right here, it's this little light bulb. Think 255 as like on and 0 as off. 0 being the weakest and 255 being the strongest. So if you want that light to be on, what number would it be? Perfect. You can be a little more confident on that. You got it. All right, 255. So we're going to turn that light on, and nothing is happening because we don't have any color. Is there a certain color people want?
Amber.
Amber. All right. Not entirely sure where this light is actually. It's somewhere in the room. But we can demonstrate with another light. So what we're going to do for demonstration purposes, we're going to have some of you pick out a light and a color. So let's turn some lights on. Next slide. So looking at this rep plot here, it might be a little hard to see. Feel free to come up or zoom in. But can anyone tell me one of these DMX addresses for any of these lights? These are rep plots for this ballroom and the next ballroom over.
103.
103. Which one is that? This one? Okay. Almost there. You're almost there. It's just the DMX address is the one without the circle. So what would that light be?
Is it too small?
Is it too small? It's the one above it.
Oh, okay,
17, yeah. So it's gonna, when you're looking for DMX addresses, it's going to be the number above the light icon and without the circle.
Sorry, what's in the circle? Like, what's the number in the circle?
That number in the circle is just for our purposes of like how many 6-pars we have. So that's like the second 6-par or like type of light we have.
So it's assigned a 203 or 103 as an indicator of what kind?
We have a legend on that. Wait, do we have it? Can you go back to the legend?
What's the thing in the middle?
Yeah, so
Square.
yeah. So this is the key. The DMX address is what you'll be using to communicate to our software. However, if you're curious about what the other numbers mean, that unit number is just something for inventory. It's like how many of that model that we have. So that unit number would be like 2. That fixture ID channel, it's basically, like I said, those channels before, it's taking up that many. So it's from 99 plus, I think 8. I forgot how many channels 6 parse take. But you don't have to worry too much about the number in the circle when you're working with just the simple desk. But the fixture ID channel is, okay, let me break this down. Sorry. So it's for that specific light that we see right here, that number in the circle, it starts at, let's say here, it starts at 99. So I'm going to demonstrate that actually real quick. It starts at 99 and then it'll take in however many channels. So this light takes in 12 channels. So it'll go from 99 plus 12. You don't have to worry too much about it if you're thinking about just turning on the lights and the colors. But for now, it is something that is on our key.
I'm sorry, so what's the difference between the top number and the number in the circle? Because I feel like it sounds like the same, right?
Oh, they are the same on this address, yeah.
But for this one, it's just the same. But like,
Yeah, for this specific key, it's just the same, which it might be for like example purposes, so don't follow too much on that. If you look on our actual rep plot, it is quite different. So 163 would be the DMX address, and 203 would be the fixture ID / channels. Basically, what it's saying is that from 163 to, or from 203, it's the channels that it's running on. So basically, there's a lot of inputs in the light spaces itself, and on input 203, it's taking in however many channels are on the key for this. Wait, hold on. So for this specific light, it takes in 16 channels. So,
these are the channels.
Oh, never mind. Okay. Okay, sorry, there's keys everywhere. For our lights, this is the amount of channels it takes for each light. Channels are basically inputs. So the ETC source 4 takes in 6 inputs. 6 parts take in 8 inputs. When you look at the actual rep plot, other way. Oh my gosh, this one. Sorry. When you look at that rep plot, can you zoom in on the circle? That 203 number is basically a number that corresponds with that number of channels that light takes.
But it's 203, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Let's say just 8 or 10 or something.
Because we have a bunch of like lights that live on our system, so it's like
It's like a unique ID?
it is kind of like a unique ID, yes.
So if I'm finding the channels on that apps, the starting point would be 203 or 163?
It'd be 163. For simple desk, you're always looking at the number that's not in the circle.
Yeah, so just ignore the circle one. Just always look for the uncircle.
Ignore the circle.
Ignore the circle. Circles for us. Just use the
I mean,
uncircled one.
yeah, we have resources on our website for that. So if you're looking more into like what fixture IDs mean, we have guides and resources on that. It's also on our website that it'll show the channel sheet and everything. But for purposes of time, we're gonna move on. Sorry. So what was one of the lights? Wait, yeah. Wait. Okay, yeah, 17, all right. All right, can someone call out a color?
Blue.
Oh, wait. Is it not 17? Oh, my bad. There we go. It might be really intense, actually. Hold on. Is that softer? Yeah, okay. That was the only reason was that strobe and light have to be on before we turn on any color. All right. I know that was a little complicated, but if you want to ask more questions later on, we have time for that later. So we're going to move into audio.
Okay. Hello? Hello? Okay. So now we're going to move on to audio in the ballroom. So for this half of the presentation, we're going to be working with our mobile audio rack, which is available for rental. Okay. So the mobile audio rack. This is the mobile audio rack. It is a portable mixer that you can use to connect to our speakers in the ballrooms, like these speakers, or your own speakers if you want. It features a digital mixer, the Allen & Heath SQ5 mixer, which has a lot of inputs and outputs, which is great for if you need a presentation or a installation with numerous devices or speakers. So if you're going to be using like maybe 10 speakers, this is perfect for it because it can handle that amount. It also has wireless capabilities, which means it comes with wireless microphones and lavaliers, which what we're using right now. So if you're interested in using those for your presentation, this is perfect for it too. Some examples of what we used it for are music events, presentations, talks, performances, any of that.
I got a question.
Yeah?
So I'm in the Cabinets of Wonder class, and
Yeah.
we're going to have multiple installations that use audio.
Yeah.
Should we as a group be trying to use that so that we all have control over our area for audio?
Are you using it in like separate groups or like as one
Yeah,
class?
we're going to have different positions throughout the ballroom.
I mean, we can talk about like certain setups like later on, maybe after the workshop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because we're kind of running out of time. But yeah, we just want to get into simple audio and then we can talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay,
Fine!
we can talk after for more specifics. Okay, so let's open this up. So all around this rack, you can see there are these locks. To open them, you just lift up this flap and then you twist it to the left, so lefty-loosey, and the claw should open up like that. So what you want to do is open them up for all of these locks. Which one? And ta-da, we have our mixer. Okay, so this is the equipment that comes with the mobile audio rack. The star of this mobile audio rack is the Allen & Heath SQ5 mixer. This is a digital mixer, and as you can see, has a lot of inputs, outputs. It also comes with a laptop tray if you need that. To use this, there are these grid lines here. It's kind of small, but you can line them up with these lines, and it should fit if I can get it in. Just press in, and you can put your laptop on here if you want, or anything you need. Yeah. Okay. So here, as you can see, it also comes with a Furman power conditioner, which we'll talk about later. these Sennheiser EWDX wireless receivers, which control and connect with our wireless devices, and a drawer, which hold our 2 Sennheiser microphones and lavaliers. And we also have a DI box if you're interested in using that. Okay. On the back, we also have a charger for the batteries of the wireless devices, the handheld mics and the lavaliers, and a bunch of cables. A bunch of dual XLR head cables, which we'll be using to connect the mixer to our speakers later. Okay. So I'm going to go over the layout and the functionality of all of our rack's equipment. So on the top here is, as you can see, the Allen and Heath SQ5 mixer. This is where you connect your inputs and outputs to, and how you control your audio, the effects, and you can control the gain and volume. Under that is the Furman power conditioner, which is this strip. This provides energy and power to the rest of the rack, so it powers the mixer and the wireless receivers. It also acts as a protection to power surges, so in case of a blackout or power emergency, it will damage this power strip before damaging this equipment, so it stays safe. And then under that are our 2 Sennheiser EWDX wireless receivers. You use these to connect to our lavaliers and microphones, as they're stored in this drawer. And that's about it for the structure of the audio rack. Now we can go into how to connect to our speakers in the ballrooms. So first, we gotta actually connect the audio rack to a power supply. So on the back here, you can see there is a cable that will connect to the Furman power conditioner. And if you take this out, you can see it's a power cable. You just connect it to the extension. Oh, maybe I need to push this back. Could I unplug this wire? Yeah. Okay. Okay, now that that's plugged in, let me shut it off. Okay, now on the front again, you have to turn on the Furman power conditioner using this button. Just click on it, and the button here should light up, and this screen should also light up. Now we have to turn on the mixer, which shouldn't be on. We turn on the mixer with this small button on the back. Here it says off is elevated and on is depressed. Right now it's off, which means the button is kind of pushed out. You just press it, and now this power light should light up. And the mixer screen should also appear. Oh. Okay. Okay, now that we have our mixer connected, we can start connecting to our speakers. So for that, we're gonna use the dual XLR head cables that come with this audio rack. I'm gonna use the really long one today. It might be a bit messy, but that's fine. Okay. Okay, so we turn this back. Now these are all of the ports that you can connect to our mixer with. For today, we're going to be using the left and right ports. So if you come in and zoom in on here. For stereo audio, which is left and right audio, we typically use these 2 ports labeled 12R, as you can guess means for right audio, and 11L, which means left audio. So here back on this cable, you can see there are 2 heads. One of them is labeled 1 on the wire, and the other is labeled 2. So what we can do is we can use one head to direct left audio, and the other head to direct the right audio. Simple. For best practices, what we usually do is we connect left audio to odd numbers. So as you can see here, you come back here. Left audio on 11. 11 is an odd number. So you can connect the odd number 1 to 11. And now right audio 12 even. You can connect the 2 head, which is labeled 2 on the wire, in. Okay, now that we've connected to the mixer, we have to connect to our actual speakers, which we do here in the patch bay. So for this workshop today, we're only going to be connecting to one speaker because we're using the other speaker to direct our own audio to speak to you guys. So let's say we want to emit right audio to just this speaker. As you remembered, our right audio is coming out of the 2 head, which means here on the accelerator head labeled 2, this will emit right audio. So we can go here, and we want that speaker to do right audio, which, as you can see on the diagram, is the northeast speaker. So we're going to go back here into the patch bay, and we're going to try to find the northeast speaker, which is labeled on here. So as you can see, here it says northeast speaker. You want to plug this in. Okay. Got it? Okay, now we've connected the mixer to the speaker, and we're going to move on to how to connect the microphones and the lavaliers. So rotate this back.
So this is just mono?
Yeah, for this workshop, we're going to do mono. But if you want to do stereo, you just plug in the other head, which one? This one, into, from the other diagram, that's the northwest speaker. And so you would plug it into northwest, as you can see in the camera right now. But for now, we're just going to do mono just for this workshop, yeah. Okay, so here are our wireless microphones and lavaliers. So as you know, this is a handheld microphone. You can use it, talking to it, yeah. This is a lavalier. It's, for those who don't know, it's a bit more discreet. You can put it in, slide it in your pocket and through your clothes. And it's kind of hard to tell that like you're wearing it. It also is more sensible to audio, which means it's acceptable to feedback. So just make sure on that when you're connecting and speaking into it. Okay, so let's do the microphones first. So to turn on the microphone, you look on the back. There should be, here, can I come in? There should be a red button here. You just hold on to it, and the screen should pop up. And once the screen pops up, it should be automatically connected to one of the wireless receivers here. So as you can see, I've connected it to this one. So to check if you're properly synced, you can bump your hand into the mic. As you can see, the bar here goes up as I bump. Which one is it?
It's on the right.
It's the other one? Oh, it's this one. Oh, okay, I'll talk about that later. This one. Okay, and we just do the same for the lavalier. So for the lavalier, this one's a bit different. This is the body pack for it. To open it and to access its power button, there are these 2 buttons on the side, and you just hold on to them and you pop it out. And there should be a power button, and you just hold on to it, and it should light up. Once it's lit up, it should also connect. Yeah, connected to this one. Okay. And once it's connected, inside should also be these microphones, which you connect by plugging this in. And now you have your lavalier set up. Okay.
What's the difference between two screens? What's the difference between those two screens?
Okay, so these are two different wireless receivers. Each wireless receiver has two channels. So usually we use this wireless receiver to connect to our two handheld microphones. So two channels, two handheld microphones, and then for this one we'll connect to our lavaliers. So two channels, two lavaliers. But today I decided to connect the handheld and the lavalier to this one, so we're gonna just run with that for now. Okay. You can go to the next. Okay, before we can use the wireless devices, we have to do one more thing. So when we're playing with frequencies, it is susceptible to outside disturbances. So if someone from, let's say, CDI is using a wireless microphone, but on the same frequency, it will cause kind of like a disturbance where we start to hear their voices and they start to hear our voices. So to prevent that, we're gonna kind of find a fresh frequency that no one's on and that we can use it by ourselves. Okay, so to do that, we'll come in. Let's try with, let's do the lavalier first. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to find which one this lavalier is connected to. So just tap into it. As you can see, this bar is going up, which means it's connected to channel 2. So you click 2 to open its settings. Click on the knob, and now you can scroll all the way to this setting called Scan and Auto Setup. You want to click that. Click Scan Me. Just keep pressing it, spam through it, and it should start scanning for a fresh frequency. Once it's found one, you just press it again. And then on the top of this lavalier, you click Sync. Okay. And now it has found a fresh frequency. We shouldn't be able to hear anyone else or any ghostly whispers. So yeah, okay. Now, I want to do it with the microphone, but does anyone want to give it a shot? No? Okay. I guess I'll do it again. Can you come back here? Okay. Okay. So this one's connected to 1. Scan auto setup. Then we click sync. The button is on the bottom, and it says sync successful. And we're done setting up our wireless devices. Okay. Let me go next. Okay. Okay, now we gotta make sure the mixer is okay. So because people use this mixer, it could be in like their customized settings, and we have to first go back to our default settings to make sure things work. So to do that, we go here. There's a button called Scenes. Click on Scenes, and then there should be a choice called Default FA23. That's our default settings for the 370J media. So we just click Go, click Yes, and it should be back to default settings. Okay, and then next. Okay, once you see everything should be muted. Let's see. Oh, this is not supposed to be. Okay, everything should be muted. The sliders should all be down. And yeah, the screen should look like this. And then there's one more step after that. As you remembered, we connected to stereo audio, which is left and right audio. So to actually have it play stereo audio, we have to click on this button that says LR. That brings it to the kind of the mix that controls our handhelds and lavaliers and lets them play into the stereo speakers. And once we've done that, we can actually start using the microphones. Okay, now for this part, I'm gonna turn off my lav.